with Foreign and Defence Ministers of Finland and Sweden. We'll start with remarks from the Foreign Ministers first, and then I'll give the floor to Defence Ministers. And we have time until 1:30 today. Please, Minister Valtonen.
Thank you. Jag är jätteglad att kunna välkomna både minister Billström och Jonson i Helsingfors idag. Sverige är vår närmaste vän och bilaterala partner. Våra relationer är nära och djupa i alla delar av samhällena. I think today we had very good discussions on topical foreign security, defense, policy-related issues, and especially also in regional cooperation, which plays a central role in today's world. And the most pressing target for both of our countries is now related to Swedish NATO membership, to have it closed as soon as possible. And as we have frequently communicated, our membership in NATO is not complete unless that of Sweden is. Now it's very good to note that Turkey has put their ratification process forward and sent the protocol to their parliament for ratification. And we hope that entire process also together with Hungary to finalize as soon as possible. And as I also mentioned in our meeting, it goes to show that as a symbol, but also technically as a very important matter, the first action that Finland undertook as a NATO member was to ratify Sweden. So, well, on the global level, Ukraine remains a strategic priority for both of us. Many events globally demand our attention, but it is important to keep the focus on Ukraine, not just now, but especially going forward. Russia must not win this war. Concerning critical infrastructures in the Baltic Sea, there has been damage to infrastructure connected to both of us, and the investigations are still ongoing. Our allies and partners have offered plenty of support, and we are very grateful for that. And the cooperation with Sweden has been also in this matter very close and thorough. Thank you so much for this. And then over to you, Tobias, please.
Kiitos, kära Elina. And first of all, I would like to express our condolences to the Finnish people for the passing of President Ahtisaari. And President Ahtisaari was greatly respected in the world for his work for peace and for reconciliation, and we miss him a lot. We are very grateful to our Finnish hosts today for this opportunity to have talks on issues of mutual concern and interests within both foreign, security and defense policy in this format, and place great importance on our dialogue. Finland is, as you said, Elina, Sweden's closest partner, and we are geographically, historically, and of course also culturally intertwined. And promoting security in Northern Europe and in the Baltic Sea region is of utmost importance to both countries. And our relationship will deepen even further through Finland's and soon Sweden's NATO membership. Next year, Sweden will be sharing the Nordic Foreign Ministers meeting, the N5, as well as the Nordic-Baltic Foreign Ministers Cooperation, the NB8, which are formats that are becoming increasingly important. And we are preparing ambitious presidencies, and I'm looking forward to making this cooperation even stronger, together with my Nordic and Baltic colleagues. We have discussed today both bilateral cooperation, NATO membership, Nordic and Nordic-Baltic cooperation, as well as topical international foreign and security policy issues, such as Russia's war on Ukraine. And we have both underlined our strong and unwavering support to Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Defense Minister Häkkänen, please.
Yeah, Tobias and Paul, thank you for being in Finland. I think our country's friendship is total in all the fields, and well, today we discussed mostly about the security situation and all the topics which are coming into that area. Just a couple of remarks from my side. Well, we have close as possible, and I think our cooperation in defense sector is going deeper and deeper in every day. The Swedish NATO membership will now start a new phase because we are in the NATO at the planning system. We have kept that the Sweden is in every scale within these plannings, also in the common structures. And now the Finland and Sweden bilateral cooperation is in deep level. We are now combining these with the NATO plannings. And of course, the defense cooperation agreement with the United States is highly valuable for all the Northern Europe security situation. And we are now doing this combination with all these plannings, and the Finland and Sweden, with our cooperation, we are the key players in this new situation. And of course, one high topic is the European much more higher security of supplies, for example, in the military field. That's why we have to ramp up our own industries in whole Europe, but also in the northern countries. We had discussions on that, and we are also, like I have told in the media earlier, that we are planning also plans in Finland how to ramp up our own ammunition productions, and I think we have to do a close cooperation in those kind of fields. What kind of concrete steps what we can take in near future. But from my behalf, thank you for your visit.
Defense Minister Jonson.
Yes, thank you very much, Elina and Antti, for hosting us. I think we had an excellent morning and an excellent lunch together. Our bilateral cooperations are rock solid, very good, and they're going to develop even further. We have a strong and an effective FISA cooperation on a bilateral basis. We also had deliberations and talks in regards to the NORDEFCO cooperation. Of course, we're going to be having a unique situation since all the 5 Nordic countries are going to be having the same kind of security arrangement in peace, crisis, and war times when we are all full-fledged members of NATO. And we also think that NATO's regional plans is actually going to strengthen the Nordic cooperations. During the Swedish NORDEFCO presidency, we've also been discussing how we can cooperate and discuss also NATO's defense policy planning. I think that's going to, and also further developing the Nordic defense concept. Finally, also, we are walking hand in hand also when it comes to the DCA. I think we were finalizing the negotiations at the very same week, and we are also seeing the DCA going to be very important also for strengthening the transatlantic link and having also a strong U.S. military presence in our region. We think that's going to be good for our bilateral cooperations, but also multilateral, and it's going to be good for NATO and NATO's regional plans and NATO's defense and deterrence agenda. So once again, thank you for an excellent morning.
Now we have time for a few questions. Please wait for the mic, introduce yourselves, and please indicate who the question is addressed to. We'll start from the left, please.
Thank you very much, Joona Aaltonen, Helsingin Sanomat. I would ask about EU membership situation of Ukraine. According to sources of Financial Times, European Commission will endorse membership talks with Ukraine in the report that is going to be published today. What is the current position of Finland and Sweden concerning the membership talks with Ukraine, and was it one of the topics of today's conversation? Thank you.
Should I start?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Now, actually, we had the meeting without phones, so we have been excluded from the outside world for the past 2 hours. So apparently, the report has come out. But generally, I can comment on the Finnish position on Ukraine membership in the European Union. Finland is very, very committed to Ukraine's European path. We also emphasize that, of course, any EU enlargement has to go hand in hand with the necessary reforms, and all enlargement has to be merit-based. This also applies to Ukraine. But it's very important that we keep the pathway open and we keep it on a credible basis, and we help Ukraine in enacting those reforms, especially what comes to eradicating corruption, because that will benefit the entire society also during the pathway towards membership.
Yes, thank you. I could make my life very easy to say what she said. But I'm going to fill out some of, I wouldn't say the gaps, but I'd like to fill in with some things. First of all, Ukraine is always a topic when Sweden and Finland meet for obvious reasons. This is a very important matter indeed, that Ukraine is offered a path towards EU integration. But just as Elina was saying, this is a merit-based process, and the most important thing that we can do is to offer help for Ukraine to continue along the path towards reforms. And most importantly, eradicating corruption. Here I side completely with my Finnish colleague. This is a scourge where we really which really needs to be tackled. But the fact that Ukraine has been able to make such much headway with reforms, even in wartime, is something to be noticed. The process has to continue. It is a merit-based process, but Ukraine's relationship with EU is crucial, not only for Ukraine, but also for EU. Ukraine belongs in the European family. Thank you.
Thank you. Then I had a question there to the right.
Lauri Nurmi, Iltalehti, Finland. My question goes for Ministers Billström and Jonson. President Erdogan has said in public that there is a connection between Sweden's accession to NATO and the F-16 deal with the United States. On my eyes, this is like a play written by Shakespeare. When the deal is done, what is the role of United States? And do you still have a trust that Mr. Erdogan will keep his promises? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, if it is a play, then Sweden definitely intends to stand on the stage when the curtain is going down as a member of NATO. And let me put it this way. The Vilnius summit was a great move forward when it comes to Swedish NATO accession. Because in Vilnius, President Erdogan, the Swedish Prime Minister and the Secretary General of NATO shook hands on a statement where Turkey made it very clear that Sweden had fulfilled the commitments made at the summit in Madrid. And this is where we see a new dynamics in the process. The statement which you referred to, which connected the F-16 deal with Swedish NATO membership, was something which we perceived as something good. That made it very clear what we were standing on this, and it's quite clear that this is a deal where Sweden is not an actor. This is something which contains three parties, because we also should take into account the statement made by President Biden just before the Vilnius summit, where he said that he was going to get a consortium, that was the word he used, together between Turkey, Greece and the United States on the sale of F-16 to Turkey, F-35 to Greece, and the US to do the deal. Now, this process is probably underway. This is something which concerns only the three parties. Sweden doesn't have a part in this, but we view this as very favorable. And finally, the fact that the ratification process has now started in the Turkish parliament signals that this is a process which is moving forward. And we are, of course, happy with this. We look forward... Sorry?
When Sweden is a member of NATO?
I'm not, of course, going to commit myself to any dates. We are talking about two countries, Turkey and Hungary. We are talking about two parliaments, which are sovereign entities. And, of course, parliamentary processes is something which is something up to the parliaments. But the fact that the process has started is something which we look very favorable on.
I can just add that we are eager and willing to join the alliance as soon as possible, and we think it's in the interest of all the allies, since it's going to be consolidating and strengthening the whole northern flank, which is in the interest of the whole of NATO, as Secretary General has expressed, and then we can also be part of NATO's regional plans and also provide access and capabilities to those regional plans. So we think it makes eminent sense for the whole of alliance that we become full-fledged members of alliance as quick as possible.
We had a lady in a white jacket.
Maria Gestrin Hagne, Hufvudstadsbladet. Hufvudstadsbladet har med hänvisning till finländska diplomatkällor berättat att Sverige meddelar att relationen mellan Finland och Sverige tar skada om Finland gör justeringar i Ålands demilitarisering eller sparkar ut det ryska konsulatet från Mariehamn. Också president Sauli Niinistö har bekräftat att det här stämmer och att han har fått sådana signaler från svenskt håll. Därför vill jag veta, varför meddelar Sverige att det är negativt för våra länders relation om Finland vill göra sig av med konsulatet eller rucka på demilitariseringen? Och gäller det här bara så länge ni inte är NATO-medlemmar? Kan vi sen göra vad vi vill med demilitariseringen utan att man från svenskt håll reagerar negativt? Om jag får be utrikesminister Tobias Billström svara först. Elina Valtonen får också gärna kommentera. Om Jonson vill säga hur Sverige eventuellt kan rycka ut i Ålands försvar så passar det också bra.
Well, thank you very much for the question. You have a very wise president in Mr. Sauli Niinistö, and I align myself with his recent remarks and have nothing to add to that. I think he has stated things very clearly. Sweden and Finland enjoy uniquely close and friendly relations, and these relations have become even stronger since both Sweden and Finland applied for NATO membership, and we are looking forward to continue to our close dialogue and deepening our and developing our cooperation. Thank you.
There's a legal study concerning the status of the consulate on the Åland Islands and linking that to the overall status of the Åland Islands being prepared and almost finalized, so it will come out to the public pretty soon. And it just goes to show that the status of the consulate is not only linked to those international treaties, and therefore it is an important matter to also other countries, not just Finland. So this is the extent that I can comment at this stage, but also I want to emphasize that I haven't experienced any diplomatic pressure or anything from Sweden. On the very contrary, since this is an issue that concerns the entire region, not just from a legal point of view, of course it is important that we keep each other posted on issues which are topical in this matter.
Well, Finland is of course part of NATO and is under Article 5. But we have a very good bilateral defense cooperation as well, not at least when it comes to the maritime domain, and our navies are cooperating very efficiently and well. But we never comment on specific details when it comes to common defense planning.
Thank you. Then we have one in the last row here behind.
Tack. Bengt Östling från Svenska Yle. Jag skulle uppskatta om ni svarar på svenska. Publiken skulle också göra det. Jag har varit med om ganska många presskonferenser där det sägs att man vill diskutera frågor som främjar det redan starka bilaterala samarbetet mellan länderna. Så då är min fråga om ni kan förklara på vilket sätt medborgarna i Sverige och Finland nu kan uppleva det ännu djupare samarbetet mellan de två länderna. Har ni till exempel delat med er erfarenheten av angreppen mot de här rören och ledningarna som går under på havsbottnen i Östersjön, eller har ni diskuterat det ökade nordiska blocket i NATO? Tack.
Who wants to start commenting? Yeah, please, Minister.
Jag kan kanske svara jättekort på svenska. Jag tycker att det visar sig främst i det att vi har så mycket kontakt mellan varandra. Jag med Tobias kanske alltså varje vecka minst, och så att vi verkligen håller aktiv kontakt på alla saker vilka är viktiga för båda våra länder och hela regionen här. Och det gäller alla ämnen, men det enda jag vill betona är att det finns ingen nordisk block i NATO också sen när Sverige förhoppningsvis snart blir medlem, därför att NATO är där för hela alliansens skydd. Men förstås kommer vi att samarbeta här tack vare geografi mycket nära också här i Norden, i Baltikumområdet. Det kommer inte att ändras. Som både Paul och Antti har sagt, det kommer bara att intensifiera vårt samarbete, att också Sverige blir medlem i NATO.
Ja, jag instämmer naturligtvis i allt det som Elina säger, och jag skulle dock vilja understryka en sak, och det är ju att förutsättningarna för vårt samarbete mellan Sverige och Finland och också då i Norden i en bredare kontext och med Baltikum handlar ju naturligtvis också om att skydda de värden som vi tror på och som vi står gemensamt upp för i den här delen av världen. Värden som handlar om demokrati, mänskliga rättigheter, rättssäkerhet, jämställdhet. Och vi behöver vara mer strategiska i det här samarbetet mellan oss. Inte minst för att verka mer gemensamt inom det multilaterala systemet. Alltså samverkan mellan stater i olika fora, i EU, i FN och i andra organisationer. OSSE är också en annan organisation. Men det handlar också om att samarbeta på andra områden som är kopplade till säkerhetsfrågor. Till exempel frågor som handlar om cyber, som handlar om rymd, som handlar om ny teknologi. Där vår region har väldigt mycket att erbjuda. En sak som jag har sagt tidigare och som jag gärna säger igen är att vår region skulle ju, om våra ekonomier i de nordiska baltiska länderna betraktades som en, kvala in inte bara till G20 utan faktiskt till G10. Vi är en av världens 10 rikaste regioner, och när vi talar med en röst i olika sammanhang så hörs det väldigt långt. Tack.
Thank you. Then we have a lady to the right over there.
Thank you. I am Anna Kauronen for Reuters News. This is a question for all of you, all the ministers, or whichever feels best suited to answer. Are Chinese authorities cooperating with Finland, Sweden and Estonia in the Baltic Sea damage investigation? Is there any progress on this front to report? And secondly, we have now learned that Russian telecommunications company claims its cable got damaged as well in the same chain of events. Is there any cooperation happening with Russia in the investigation or with Russian authorities? Thank you.
Minister Valtonen.
Thank you very much for the question. We are indeed still in the process of the investigation, and it is now down to the level of the authorities to carry through also with our international partners. What comes to Russia, I can comment that we have notified the authorities of the incident through diplomatic channels. What comes to China, we have been promised, again, through diplomatic channels, full cooperation on the investigation and on the matter, and our authorities are directly in contact with the Chinese, and we will report to the public in due course once there's progress. Thank you.
Minister Billström.
Thank you very much for the question. The Swedish Armed Forces and the Swedish Coastal Guard are conducting maritime surveillance around the clock all year round, and they have a good situational awareness of our territory and in the surrounding areas. The damage that you're referring to occurred in relative proximity, both in terms of geography and in time. However, we need to wait for the results of the investigations before we can conclude if there is any additional links between these events. Thank you.
You can just add, as you might also know, that our submarine salvage ship Belos has been at the sites and been doing divings and inquiries as well, supporting just exactly what Minister Billström said. We've also been having, of course, a very close political dialogue between Sweden and Finland, and between Sweden, Finland and Estonia during this time, and the dialogue has also been ongoing at the government agency level. In addition, also we've been having discussions in other fora about the protection of critical infrastructure underwater. We had a Northern Group meeting about this a few weeks, and we've also been having discussions inside the Joint Expeditionary Force. This is, of course, an issue that's going to be moving upwards on the political agenda as well, protection of underwater cables and critical infrastructure below or on the seabeds.
Thank you. This brings us to the end of this event. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you, ministers. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you.
Very good.